Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special.
I say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion.
Hey man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes. With this and this.
Fighters are genuinely scared of Terence Crawford for many reasons. Roy Jones Jr. even noted that during the face-off, Canelo looked uneasy just standing across from him. What makes Crawford so intimidating isn't only his skill, but the calmness with which he studies every move. He rarely gets caught clean and punishes mistakes with perfect timing, leaving his opponents feeling like there's no possible path to victory.
All that we talked about when I told you either he's not ready for this or he's trying to little boy Bud. He wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud. And Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you gotta.
Paulie Malignaggi emphasized how Crawford has built one of the most remarkable resumes in modern boxing. Becoming an undisputed champion in 3 different divisions is almost unheard of. And he did it by facing the top names, not cherry-picking opponents. What impressed Paulie most was not only Crawford's ability to win, but to win while rarely taking damage. His career record, 41 wins, 31 knockouts, and 0 losses, speaks volumes. Paulie called it historic and said Crawford's recent win over Canelo felt like the start of a new era, just as Mayweather once ruled his time. In his eyes, Crawford is now the defining figure of this generation.
Has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, oh, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather, and how that would be, because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation, I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible, really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous, tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we gonna do? You know, it'll be up to the fantasy fights. You know, but let's get into it, man. You know, I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very, very well, very, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly at the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they...
Brian shared how extraordinary it was watching Crawford fight Canelo. He pointed out that it's rare to see such a perfect balance of offense and defense. Usually, a fighter excels at one while leaving the other exposed. Crawford, however, displayed both with sharp precision. He neutralized attacks with his slick defense and instantly switched to offense to punish openings. Brian noted that this complete package is what separates Crawford from many champions, his ability to shut down an opponent's weapons while building his own momentum. To him, it was incredible to see a fighter dominate with both composure and skill against an elite opponent.
I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So, yeah. Like I thought, like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem...
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo.
Ever. Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. And Canelo said it, he goes, I couldn't figure him out.
No.
Which is why he probably won't fight him again. You know,
they'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday, yeah.
But so you're going to get Canelo, because the money's in Canelo Crawford, the rematch. I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Andre Ward gave Crawford immense praise, calling him the most skillful fighter among his peers. Ward, himself a master technician, said Crawford's mentality is unmatched. If he sets his mind on something, he will stop at nothing to achieve it. Ward added that tactical tricks alone cannot stop Crawford, the only way is to truly hurt him inside the ring. His adaptability, stance switching, and ability to think under pressure put him in a rare class of fighters who impose their will regardless of circumstances. According to Ward, Crawford's success is no accident, it's built on determination, grit, and relentless commitment.
That, like, I can bet the house on, it's Bud.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them, for sure. Me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room, or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this.
Crawford's journey is also deeply personal. His father always believed he would one day become an undisputed champion, instilling confidence in him early on. But his mother was skeptical, never fully convinced he'd reach the top. Rather than discouraging him, her doubt became his fuel. Each fight was an opportunity to prove her wrong. With every victory, every belt, he fulfilled his father's vision and earned his mother's pride. Today, Crawford looks back with satisfaction, proud that his success has brought validation, respect, and inspiration to his family.
I told my mom I was going to be a world champ.
I told him we would be.
How'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to it.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. Can whoop?
You went out on the street.
Yeah.
What's now Bud Crawford Street.
Yeah.
And offered $10 to anyone who can kick my son's butt.
Yep.
And a lot of takers.
Yeah,
no
kids in the neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Crawford explained that he never aimed to become undisputed at 154 pounds because he didn't see enough meaningful competition in that division. To him, undisputed isn't about collecting belts, it's about doing it against the best. That's why he moved up to 168, where bigger challenges and stronger names awaited. His refusal to move down shows confidence in testing himself against tougher opposition. For Crawford, it's always been about risk-taking and ambition, not comfort and easy wins.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you're at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat, what's his name?
Majimov? No, 154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bachram.
Yeah. Okay, so Bachram, they're going to say, who was Bachram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
I would put you down with Fedora, though.
Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
so, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments. Just off of
Crawford often showcases his belts not to brag, but to demonstrate what years of dedication have earned him. Each belt symbolizes not just victories, but the sacrifices and struggles behind them. To him, those titles are proof that nothing was handed to him. He fought through doubt, tough battles, and constant challenges. His collection of belts is motivation, not only for himself but also for the next generation of fighters, reminding them that discipline and belief can turn dreams into reality.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama house. That's where all my belts at. You know,
hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters, some of them, ain't got. So I see why y'all mad. I see why y'all mad, man. Look at that one right there. This where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate, just congratulate.
Virgil Ortiz Jr., a rising star, gave Crawford major credit for his most recent performance, calling it absolutely beautiful. Ortiz said Crawford has already proven everything and doesn't need to chase anyone else to validate his greatness. From Ortiz's perspective, Crawford's legacy is already secure. Hearing such admiration from a young fighter shows how deeply Crawford has impressed the next generation, leaving them in awe of his dominance.
Big fight, actually. He neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was going to look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully. And, man, I mean, he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later. But in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Virgil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's gonna do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160, you know, and I think that is definitely a possibility, and you know that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's gonna do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's kind of nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion. He made some good money. At this point, he's just a free player right now, I guess.
Crawford's dominance has sparked what many call the Crawford effect. Now, instead of him chasing fights, fighters from different divisions are lining up to call him out. Sebastian Fundora, known for his tall frame and aggressive style, has already expressed his desire to face him. This reversal shows just how much influence Crawford holds in boxing. Everyone wants a shot at him to gain credibility.
Is in full effect. Okay? It's in full effect. Terence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terence Crawford is not a draw. Terence Crawford can't sell. Terence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBA, well, WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, refused to fight Terence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound for pound king, 4-division world champion, 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, with a record of 42 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. When Terence Crawford dominated and stopped The Truth, Errol Spence Jr., in July of 2023, Terence Crawford petitioned to move up and fight the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, okay? And Sebastian Fundora has zero interest.
O'Shaquie Foster admitted he was surprised by how Crawford silenced so many critics. For years, people said Crawford hadn't faced enough elite opponents and might struggle against the best. But his recent wins, especially over Canelo, proved he could dominate even the biggest names. Foster said Crawford not only erased doubts but set a new standard, turning skepticism into undeniable respect.
They definitely doubted, bro, and he told me months ago that he was gonna do that, and he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? And
they doubted him a lot throughout his career. You know what I mean? Just a lot, and just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters. They've been doubted. You know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. Floyd, they had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosley, the Trinidad. They all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo-de-woo. You know what I mean? And so I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
Did you think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that Crawford could do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was he was gonna do what he was doing, and then, you know, Terence got hard. He trying to bang it out, especially if he feel played enough. He feel like you feel like you doing something. He gonna come with it stuff. So I thought that was gonna be a problem. Like if Canelo landed a punch, he would try to go in the trenches with Canelo, and that's what I would have been scared for him for. But man, that boy stayed sharp all night. Man, that boy looked good. Man, I can't lie, he looked good. Sure, I was definitely surprised at how smooth, how easy.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn reacted strongly to Crawford's triumph over Canelo. Cobbs called it a defining moment, while Benn went further, suggesting Crawford could even retire now, leaving the sport on a high note. Benn didn't mean it as criticism, but rather as acknowledgement that Crawford has already completed his legacy. Even if he walked away today, he'd still be remembered as one of the greatest. Their words reflect how complete Crawford's career already looks.
On that beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn reacted strongly to Crawford's triumph over Canelo. Cobbs called it a defining moment, while Benn went further, suggesting Crawford could even retire now, leaving the sport on a high note. Benn didn't mean it as criticism, but rather as acknowledgement that Crawford has already completed his legacy. Even if he walked away today, he'd still be remembered as one of the greatest. Their words reflect how complete Crawford's career already looks.
Another division, that's not the move. If he goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will be very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weights now we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, look at Crawford's record. He has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. You know, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook. They're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically, and the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult to call.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more until next time.